There's different visions. And so I feel like the community is now scattering into lots of like micro communities that are developing their own vision.
That was Gael Breton. You might know him from a website called authorityhacker.com, where he and his partner Mark Webster teach people how to create profitable websites. I've been friends with both Gael and Mark for about a decade now, and these guys have always been at the forefront of SEO, especially the affiliate side of it. So it's no surprise that this episode has tons of actionable SEO knowledge.
I think a lot of sites ignore how their pages look on mobile, and that's probably costing them a lot.
Here's a quick snapshot of what Gael has shared during our chat. What everyone gets wrong with content optimization.
You can be a bit mechanical about it, but that's where you lose content quality usually, when you don't actually do that.
Whether the helpful content update has actually been helpful.
Bundle all these updates together. From the second half of 2023, the subs have changed a lot.
And why too much focus on the so-called topical authority can actually lead to mediocrity.
You essentially cover everything in a very mediocre way. And that makes a very average, bloated website.
My name's Tim Solo, and you're listening to Ahrefs podcast.
Ahrefs podcast.
It's actually pronounced Ahrefs.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Let's do it again. Ahrefs podcast.
So what do you think about different SEO and marketing communities that exist today? Are communities as popular as they were, or what is kind of the natural kind of development? Because previously communities were on forums. There was like Wicked Fire forum, Digital Point forum, yada, yada, yada. Then at a certain point, and Facebook maybe until today, some communities, you have Facebook groups, then Slack, but I don't have many cases of popular Slack communities. Maybe Traffic Think Tank is the odd one out.
Running a community on Slack is like it's a ruin for you, because if you want the proper search, etc., you have to pay like $10 per user per month. It's like the business model makes
crazy.
0 sense. I looked at it. It's crazy. Like for us, we'd pay like mid five figures to Slack to run our community. Not even all of our community, just the top level members.
Yeah,
it's like it made no sense. So we actually did it on Discord for like our kind of like mastermind level type thing. But we're probably moving to Circle soon, actually. That's something, like, if you want to talk platform, like hard platform stuff, I think we're moving to Circle soon.
What is your thought process for creating it on Circle? Because right now, everyone communicates on Facebook. I mean, everyone within Authority Hacker.
Mm-hmm. So the problem is that on one side we have the courses, so we have a dedicated member area for that, where like you find all the lessons, etc. And we have a lot of that. Like we have hundreds of videos in there. And then on the other side you have the community that is on Facebook, and we really wanted kind of like everything in one place and mix the content with social interactions, etc., which is not really possible. Like I'm not going to put the courses on Facebook. And also maintaining a custom built member area is a bit of a technical headache, to be honest. Like in terms of like access rights. So for example, I'm telling you, so our email list is like a little bit over 150,000 emails right now. And there's some weird interactions with the member area, because like it uses the API from ActiveCampaign to check what access you have in the member area when you load the page, etc. When I blast the entire list, the member area goes down for 2 minutes, just because of, like, just to happening. But I guess they're just like, a lot of tags are updating based on our email opens, etc. when we send emails, and it just kind of like overloads the API call to the member area. It just brings it down for like 2 minutes. It's not, most people don't even notice very much. Like it's a couple of people noticing here and there, but it's terrible. It's terrible, and so like that also helps us deal with that. So it's really like we want one place for that stuff, and because we have because we're more on the content creator side, we're not really selling a tool or something like this. Like, you don't see me that much on YouTube, because honestly, all our best videos, they're in the member area. So it's like there is a reason for members to log in. I probably produce more videos than most SEOs you see on YouTube, just they're behind a paywall, basically. And so I'm betting we'll have the ability to make people log in, because we see the traffic to the existing member area where they already have to log in. And then events as well, right? It's like, so like I had an event yesterday night, for example, with our community, talked about some case studies on some stuff we worked on to recover sites after the tragic Google updates that have happened recently. So like showed some stuff that worked, and yeah, people love that, and they're engaging still all the way to the morning on the Discord now, asking questions, etc. So let's see. It's like I can't tell it's gonna work. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I guess it is different for you and for us, because for you, in a way, the community is the product. This is what you sell. The community is like content plus discussion. This is your product. You sell it. So people go there. For us, the community is
it's an add-on, yeah.
Kind of like an afterthought. So I launched the Facebook group shortly after I joined the company, and people started adding themselves. Well, because it was originally open for anyone who knows about the brand, because we weren't very famous back then, and I was happy to get 100 people, first 200 people, first 1,000 people. And yeah, it was active. People were discussing. I was always posting something. But then when it grew past like 15,000, we realized that a lot of people who are coming to this group aren't our kind of regular customers. They might have used us once or twice, but I don't know, they don't use us overall, but they are there to like promote their stuff. So the level of spam was going up, and we had to moderate every post that is being published. And Facebook doesn't give you any controls over who is in your group. So you cannot just run an API call and remove everyone who is not active in your platform. If that was possible, I think our Facebook group would be still live. We would just keep it clean from people who are not our active customers.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
I guess
one thing that you see as well, right? Is like the people on social, they tend to be quite different from the people who buy from you. And I actually think a lot of people in the industry are like, for example, chasing views on YouTube is kind of like the latest trend in the creator industry for SEO at least. But like my takeaway is that a lot of people who watch the videos, comments, etc., are not the people who actually purchase in the end. And it's a very different persona. Like there's very little correlation, for example, between how well our podcast is doing and how well our sales are doing, for example. Which is pretty interesting.
So to wrap up the topic of the communities, so what are kind of the biggest and most active communities for SEOs and digital marketers as of today? Which ones would you name?
I mean, I'm a bad person to ask. I'm not. It's like I'm busy enough with ours that I don't really participate in other communities. I don't know how well Traffic Think Tank is doing since SEMrush bought them. I literally don't hear them being mentioned anywhere anymore. So I feel like, it's like that's why you see these things are very much creator driven. It's like the guys behind Traffic Think Tank, like they're brilliant, right? It's like they're really good.
They no longer actively engage in the community?
I don't know, but like probably the image of it just has changed since it's been acquired or something. Like it just feels like it's now part of the establishment, It's not edgy, and these things matter. I feel like the community is scattering a lot right now. Basically, like for a while, like in terms of pure SEO, like kind of everyone came to an understanding that search intent was really, really powerful. Like basically, if Google ranks list posts, you have to make a list post with just more list items and you're going to rank for it, basically. Like now Google has basically like reshuffled everything pretty heavily since last August. And different interpretations of how to deal with this are coming up, right? It's like there's the people who decide to just spam AI. There's the people who think that topical authority is the way. Hard to point at a community now that would be like a reference or something like that. It's very much now. It's funny. I use that expression a lot from Game of Thrones, like chaos is a ladder.
Again, say it again.
Chaos is a ladder.
Chaos.
So like
is a ladder.
Basically, because it's so messy in SEO right now, it's very easy to to get a claim to fame if you have a small win, basically. So it's like share, this SEO heist on Twitter, or these things like that, like share some kind of like spammy. And I find the industry is very, especially when they're desperate, they're very hungry for new ways to deal with things rather than just dealing with the hard fact that maybe their content wasn't very good or something like this, and so it's moving a lot right now. That's all of this to say the community right now is moving a lot, and I could see it in Chiang Mai SEO actually.
Let's go back to the content that you create for a community. These are courses. Basically, you make money selling courses.
Pretty much, yeah.
I went to your website to try and see how much you charge for your courses.
Yeah.
And there are no prices being displayed. You just say that the course... There are?
So if you go on authorityhacker.com/system, you'll see that there is the Authorize system for sale. But most of our sales are made through funnels. So it's basically you opt in and you get sold. But if you go authorityhacker.com/system, you see like it's six payments of $330 to get access. If you click on the cart, you can pay as a one-off for $1,499, basically $1,499. So like you can buy some products in front end, but I would say 90% of our sales are done via email, sales funnels, and ads actually.
So how much do you charge for your course?
It depends on the discounts, not the discounts, etc. I would say the lowest price for a course we sell is around $600, and the highest price we charge for like kind of like the mastermind level, you get access to calls, etc. It's like $6,000.
$6,000.
Yep.
Whoa, that's quite a bit. And how do you market and sell the course? Can you walk me through like what do you do to sell your courses anywhere from $600 to $6,000?
Yeah. Okay. So there's two ways of selling, right? There's two main methods. There's what we call the evergreen way of selling, which is kind of like when you opt into our email list, you get enrolled into what we call an evergreen launch. So you opt into a lead magnet. So the main lead magnet on the website now is basically a free training. So it's like kind of like a 30-minute video where I show you a bunch of tips and tricks to get started with building a content site, basically. And then at the end of that video, we open a discount on this authorityhacker.com/system page. So you get to get a discount on that. But we use a tool called Deadline Funnel that looks at when you opted in and sets a deadline like X days after. I think it's 6 days after, something like this. And so the idea is like the URL you get, like it tracks your email address through ActiveCampaign, it tracks your IP, tracks a bunch of points. Basically, it tries to.
So it's not a fake urgency; it's real.
No, it actually
urgency.
closes actually. So when it closes, you go back to the full price actually, and then you can't rejoin it for like at least 6 weeks, I think, something like this. So it's like you can't just like go back, re-opt in, and rejoin it basically. So we try. Look, it's not perfect. I think you can cheat the system, right? It's like there's always ways to cheat this kind of tracking.
Of course.
But we do our best effort to make this legit, basically. And so like that's one way that like that's kind of like the method where we get everyday sales. Like I wake up in the morning, there's a couple of sales that went through. People visit the website, they opted in, they watch the video, they get the offer, they get a couple of sales emails after they opted in, and then they decide to buy or they decide not to buy. The offer closes, and then they're just subscribers on our email list, right? So that's one way of selling. And the other way of selling is actual live launches. So it's like, we pick a date, we say, okay, today, like we're recording in February now, let's say February 28th to March 6th is going to be an Authority Hacker Pro launch, for example. For most of our launches, we do shoot new content and update content. So the way we manage to still sell the same course literally almost 10 years later is because we always add new things that are relevant to what people care about right now. So there's always going to be like Authority Hacker Pro that we have is like a lot of mini courses, basically. Like it's kind of like this Authority system course is a very long course. It's almost 200 videos, but it's linear, I know it's crazy, but it's building a site from scratch, right? I start the course, I don't know what niche I'm going to pick. and then I finish, and the site is finished, basically, you know? So it's like, it's a lot, you go through every single step. And if you want to be in detail, and we do it over the shoulder as well, it's not PowerPoint, it's like us doing it on video, and you build with us, you know? So like that takes quite a bit. So we prefer like 205 minutes videos than like 40 minutes videos, basically. It's more consumable, and people can pause when they want, etc. So AutoHacker Pro is a lot of mini.
So how do you promote the launch? How do you promote the launch?
So the way we promote, the email list is a big one, obviously. So I told you we have lots of emails. The other one is,
but your email list is essentially the same people who already got all those different offers from you
usually.
before.
Like the live launches and Evergreen is different products. So they got promoted the beginner's product when they opted in. And then if they didn't buy it, then it's another product gets promoted to them during the live launch, basically.
So the Authority Hacker Pro, which is not a beginner product, it is not evergreen, so it's not on sale all the time. Only
that's
the
probably
beginner's
what
course.
you saw when you tried to go on /pro. It told you the product is closed or something. So that's probably what you saw. Yeah, it's not. It tells you hey, opt into our list, and we'll tell you when it's ready. Yeah. That's exactly what we do. So when you opt in, you'll receive our podcast if you opt in, and then you will get promoted to launch when it happens. So email is a big one. Advertising is a big one. So both retargeting, so people who interacted with us on social, people who visited our website. That's pretty much it. We do cold traffic as well these days, so we have enough conversion data that we can feed that to Facebook and AdWords, and they do a good job. We're profitable on that, actually. It's less profit than retargeting, but it's profitable. So it finds us people and it makes sales. And then affiliates, right? So we have people promoting the course, and they get a cut when they make a sale, and it just, they drive traffic to the page. If they make us money, we give them money. That's simple as that.
Do you know what percentage, just roughly, come from affiliates? What percentage of sales?
It's 20 to 25% or 30%. 20 to 30, I would say, something like this. So it's significant, but we still generate most of the sales.
What do you think about the evergreen webinar funnel? I think this is what Matt Diggity does, because I remember that in one of his videos he mentioned his authority system or whatnot. I clicked the link and there was an evergreen webinar, and I was like, oh, so he's driving some traffic from his YouTube videos to an evergreen webinar funnel. Mm-hmm. Do you guys do that?
Where do you think he got the idea? I'm pretty sure I did it first. So we had that a while ago, but then I kind of decided log into a webinar platform, etc. is just it's a boomer thing, It's not really it's not really a thing anymore. So we've just replaced it with a video with chapters, and you can just skip to wherever you want, because people just you know what I mean. Having to sit, basically a webinar platform is an autoplay video with a fake chat on the right. And you can't skip around. So you have to go through. And it's for years we've run it and we've made good money. But when we switched it, sales haven't, I wouldn't say it has bumped, but it hasn't gone down either. It was just a better experience for people. So it's if I can give a better experience for people without hurting the business, I'll always do it, basically. So I feel you know what I mean? It's just I feel you're webinars are now becoming kind of like the 90s infomercials, a little bit. And it's it's time to kind of grow up with the internet. The internet is short form video. You swipe up, you swipe left, you swipe right. It's fast, and you need to deliver something like that to people because that's what they want.
You know what I'm thinking? This is a random idea, and I might be wildly incorrect with this. But I feel what also might be happening is that when you are just starting out and you're not that well known and you're trying to use all the marketing hacks possible, it might be that actually evergreen webinar, with the little fakeness that it brings to the table, because some people legit think that they are on a live webinar. Of course, experienced people wouldn't believe it, of course. But at that level, when no one knows you, you don't have an existing audience, reputation, you don't have, testimonials from Chinese people and whatnot, that might make a difference. But then as your business matures, as you get reputation, as you get recommendations from other people, as you release more content, you have a podcast that has been going for a while, and now you switch from that evergreen webinar to arguably a less a little less converting tactic of conventional video, and you don't see a difference. Maybe because that difference is now being compensated with
By
all the work
reputation.
you've done, like to build your reputation, business, and community. So
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we ran the webinar for years, and I could see the time on in room go down all the time. Like, people just don't have the attention span to go through like an hour and a half webinar.
yeah,
It's quite difficult. Especially, like, it's cool. Like, it works on a podcast when you're talking about interesting stuff, non-stuff, and maybe there's like a 1 minute sponsorship. But like, a webinar is not that, right? It's like bragging about myself for 15 minutes at the beginning, so you trust me. 30 minutes of value and 30 minutes of hard sales pitch. That's a proper webinar, basically. And it's like, I really don't want to be like this old brand, you know. It's like that's why I said, like, making it is easy, staying is hard. And it's like, you need to kind of like take these, you need to understand where people's interest is going on the internet. If we're teaching people to make internet content, like, it's like, I'm sorry, but all this stuff is getting, it looks like it's for old people, you know?
So how many people have graduated from Authority Hacker University?
I mean, I can't, we don't track very well who completes all the courses. And obviously, when
how many people entered the university?
More than 14,000.
14,000.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big number. And how much would, like, if we were talking about the active part of your community, how many people would you say are like relatively active as of today?
It's again, because we're on a Facebook group, the numbers are a bit iffy. But I would say like a few thousand. I would say like 4,000 maybe, something like this. Obviously, there's kind of like a core of like a couple hundred people that are like very active. They will post every day, etc. And there's the people who kind of like gravitate around, might drop by once a month, something like this, etc. But like it's like at this point on the beginners Facebook group, it's very hard for me to even recognize the names because there's just too many of them.
But wait, to stay in your community, there is no monthly fee. So you just buy a course and then you're forever in.
That's why I said, like, that's why I dropped a pretty large number of people who are like not here anymore, because it's like some people bought years ago and they do something else. It's like they bought a course, they do something else, etc. So it's like, while we have 14,000 plus people who entered, I'd say like, 3,000-4,000 are probably like actually active right now.
Yeah. So that's one of your differences with Traffic Think Tank, for example, because they charge monthly for being in their community. And
that's something we're looking into, actually. Like, we might change to that model eventually. We haven't kind of like refined that and made the final decision, so I can't just make a big announcement here or something like this. It's a discussion we're having. Mostly for like, I feel like it keeps your, like, money is a great way to filter out a lot of bullshitters, people who are not serious, etc. as well. Like, it's just like you have to put a commitment behind it, and so in a way, charging for a community builds a better community. It's like, it's great. I make money, but it also makes a better community.
Especially if it gives you guys funds to again hire someone to manage it better. If for their money they're also getting something back, that's just great. I mean, we do regular events and stuff. Like, we actually spend time, I could send you a screenshot of Discord now, for example, and there's like, several chats from last night I did the event and people sharing screenshots and talking about it, etc. And it's like, so it's like we do interact with people, we do spend the time. And that's why also I'm not that active on social media, because I kind of prefer focusing on that. It's like, these people trusted us already. It's maybe not great for the growth, but I think I can find growth with SEO and ads and the podcast and things like that. And then it's like, it's fine if I'm not like a Twitter guru, basically. How many people showed up when you did the community meetup in Chiang Mai? You should ask Mark, but I think it was like 100 something, something like this. So it was pretty good, and they were all customers. So it's like, this was all people who handed us money, not just people who like us on YouTube or something like that. You had to be a customer to enter. That was pretty cool that you so easily you got 100 people to your meetup and like all of them are customers. You have a pretty strong community. Yeah, and there's tons of good people, and that's why I kind of like,
like I don't give a shit about being an SEO guru or something. Like personally, I enjoy the work, but like I don't care for the fame and the selfies, basically. And that's why I want to, like, one of my big jobs is like moving the product positioning from just the content to more the community and the great people we have in there. Like I want to put a spotlight on the people, you know. And we have some great members that deserve more, like, you know, credit as well. Like I'm happy to share it with them, basically. And so like a big part of our marketing, if you open our sales page, like authorityhacker.com/system, you see that there's a little bit about how we build websites and how we've done it as well. But very much the story is about the other people. Like it's like I like the narrative of like, you know, some people are good at making money and showing it off to you, but we're good at making you money, you know. And so that's why we like I very much want I care more about a strong brand than a strong name for myself, basically. And
that being said, how hands-on are you with the actual building of websites? Because you need to teach people to do it, and you need to do it yourself for that reason.
So like the basic stuff, I don't do anymore. Like, you know, day-to-day stuff, etc. Like I'll jump in to kind of like improve the processes. I'm pretty much a consultant in the team. You know what I mean? It's like you have someone who runs SEO day-to-day. I'm like, hey, I have an idea. Let's go try that. Like build some kind of like Notion system. We try it together. We have like, you know, we built something called like the SEO lab in Notion. So we just write like assumptions we have of what might rank higher. We pick a cohort of pages. We test it against like some page where we don't do the changes. We look at the average, etc. And we just, so I'm still quite hands-on on this stuff. And quite often I even find technical solutions. That's why like, if you watch some of my videos, like I can, you know, I look at my videos on Ahrefs, like, you know, I know how to use Ahrefs, you know, like I actually do it, you know, and I think that's also something that's important to me. It's like, I feel like for a lot of people, it's beneath them after a certain point, you know, like, oh, I'm too big to do this or whatever. But I think there's value in putting someone overqualified in these things and figuring out how to do them better. And I think that's a lot of the value we bring to people. And that's why, while I'm not necessarily able to like see lots of projects from the beginning to the end and do everything myself, I'm able to. So the two things I do is I work with our team and I basically give free consulting to our mastermind members, basically. Like I just like, hey, let's hop on a call. I have some ideas for your site. Then they go and do it and we just catch up 2 months later. And I'm seeing like what happened. I get hands-on experience from that. And then, but at the same time, it hasn't taken nearly as much time as if I was doing this for either one of our projects or for myself, you know. So it's like I'm finding hacks to still do this stuff. It's not easy time-wise, let's be honest. But I want to keep my hands dirty enough that I'm still credible talking about this stuff at least.
But how many sites do you guys run personally?
Personally, not a lot, actually. Like, honestly, like we have divested from a lot of sites, actually quite luckily, before the updates on the HCU, etc. So I think we documented one in March last year. There were some others, but like there's one that we did a podcast about, I think. But like we are more working on partnerships now. Like, I'll be honest, like even selling a site for 6 figures now, it doesn't really make a dent in what it means to me in terms of money-wise, basically. It's more interesting to kind of like invest in businesses and work with them, but still use the same mechanics of like creating content, ranking on Google, making sales pages, doing all of that. So the very same mechanics apply there, but they apply on different types of sites. So for example, we've invested into a recruitment company in South Africa. The reason why is because they found us lots of great stuff and we really like them and we invested in that. And now we're working on the site with them, working on the content strategy with them. We're going to like do the SEO stuff. We're going to do so we still apply a lot of the stuff we talk about. It's just that like making small affiliate sites for us has a lot less interesting for us financially, basically. Like it's just like, yeah, making a 300K sale. I mean, it's good, but my life's not going to change from it anymore.
So you mentioned quite a few Google updates.
Yeah.
HCU, helpful content update, medic update, yada, yada, yada. And even though I work at Ahrefs and we literally have all those updates on our graph inside Explorer. For those who don't know, you can activate it there's a drop down there, and you can see all those updates on a graph. It's quite useful. But to be honest, I never dig into those updates that much because for my marketing and content philosophy, nothing changes. We just try to create the best content we have. So can you walk me through some of the latest updates of the past year or past 2 years that people were discussing, that people were suffering from? Give me kind of a quick lesson in the latest Google updates and what changed.
Okay. So, I mean, the biggest update in the last year is this helpful content update, but it was followed by 3 core updates in 3 months after that. I think there was October, November, December. And if you kind of like bundle all these updates together from the second half of 2023, the SERPs have changed a lot. So I invite you, for example, like in the podcast with Cyrus Shepard, I gave him a SERP. It was an interesting one. I gave him the SERP, best mouthwash for bad breath, I think. And, historically, you'd find like basically cookie cutter affiliate articles ranking for that, right? And now the number one is a dentist in New York. It's a DR like 20 something sites, like a low DR site. Then the second one is like Listerine.com, for example.
This is a result of helpful content update.
Yeah, because historically you'd get like bestreview.com that has like like a table on top and like six below, etc. Like all of that, and that has changed quite a bit. I've done a lot of research on that. It took me honestly the first few months I didn't really understand what happened. And I didn't really talk publicly about it because I don't like to talk when I have nothing to say. And everyone was just 24 hours after this was released, everyone had a guide on how to recover from this. I think they're full of shit, but that's just me. But the thing is like, one thing that what it took us to really understand it is to really dig for, like a lot of blogs are affected, like really a lot of content sites. I would say like 60-70% of content sites took some kind of downward trajectory between, a light 15% to a heavy 90%, something like that. Google has rewarded forums a lot. The main one being Reddit, but also just niche forums in general. Like there's this golf forum that I found that like ranks for like so many keywords, and in general forums and UGC has done very well. So the way I managed to kind of like start to understand what happened is by looking for content sites that did not get affected or got affected positively. Like I was like, okay, what is Google looking for? Who is beating the trend? And that's when I found several interesting sites. So I'll give you a few that I gave an example before. So naplab.com, I actually interviewed him on the podcast. He reviews mattresses, very competitive affiliate market. Shavercheck.com, he's a guy who reviews electric razors. And then I'll give you another one. Let me just open my list. Yeah, rvlifestyle.com, for example. Like they're doing okay. They're not like the small sites that are doing okay. Same, sendspotter.com, DR23 travel site with 100K plus traffic, still growing after these updates. And what they all have in common is they walk the talk. They actually do the thing they talk about. Like NapLab has a scientific review process for mattresses with videos showing he's done the tests, etc. Like he actually he's like a light guy, so he like lays down the mattress, but he also has like a weighted vest to see how much you sink in the mattress with like special measurements and stuff. He has like some, he puts a liquid thing on the mattress, then he throws a heavy ball on it, and he sees how much the liquid marks to like exactly see how the motion transfer happens on the mattress. Like very cool stuff, basically. Same with this Shaver Check, etc. Like they all do like real stuff. Shaver Check actually makes fun of all the roundup reviews that rank on Google in most of his reviews in the entrance. They also tend to have active comment sections for a lot of them, actually. Like you would not believe how many people comment about electric shavers. It's pretty impressive. And so while Google is having also spam problems at the same time, because a lot of SEOs, what they've done, there's two things happening. There's the AI spam. So a lot of people, because they can't rank sites the way they used to, they now get an H domain and they spam, some kind of like one-click AI article writer on there, and then they'll get lots of traffic. And the way Google seems to work at this point is basically until you reach a certain threshold of traffic, you don't really get evaluated by these big updates. So you can take, between updates, you can take a site and you can skyrocket it. And then I'm sure these sites will tank eventually with one of these updates when they will actually get evaluated properly. But in between, they get to make money. And it gets the community excited enough to show the big graph that goes up, that a lot of people are doing this. And the second problem is parasite SEO, right? Because as you displace lots of smaller sites, there's essentially room that opens in the subs. Reddit's taking some of it, but the rest of the room can be taken by pretty much any high authority site somewhat related to the industry. And so like a lot of people now are paying newspapers. Now there's this new thing called partnerships that some people do, where it's basically they find, a failed startup that, got good coverage and DR70 from, their VC rounds, etc. And then they just partner with them and they post a million affiliate articles on there and rank, basically. And then they just share the revenue with the failed startup founder. And that's a business model, basically. So you have that spam problem happening with Google right now, and they know about it, and I think they will address it sometime this year. How well, I can't tell, but I think they will. But on the other side, they're also they're starting to understand like real sites. Finally, real sites are at least being stable or not getting hit as much. Now there are counter examples. So a good counter example would be travellemming.com. He was in Chiang Mai SEO actually. Travellemming.com. He really, really good travel site who got killed. But I think a lot of what he was killed for, it's Reddit, but it's also search features. So like now Google, for example, when you Google a list keyword, like things to do in Seattle, they will actually give you like a bunch of drop downs on top of the SERP, and then it just lists the things to do, and you can click and then it gives you links to articles related to that thing you clicked on. So like if you're like a site that was getting lots of traffic from writing these list posts, you kind of get killed because most of the info is on the SERP already. So it's very much like the weather websites when Google started showing the weather in the featured snippets, So it's like there are counter examples, but overall, I see a lot of legit sites that are cruising through, while the people who just build a shitty site that they don't really do the thing they talk about and don't do it with love, let's just say, tend to take pretty heavy hits from these updates. So
you're saying legit sites, shitty sites, hits from updates, but can you break down like helpful content update? What did it do? You said that it rewarded sites like Reddit, it rewarded bigger sites, but at the same time you said that a small dentist website was ranking. Yeah. So that's a difference. So how do you understand helpful content update?
Because the dentist is legit. Because like the way it works, when you click on the three dots on the SERPs, like I think Cyrus talked about this in his talk, you get information that Google has about the site. So a lot of like small blogs, Google has nothing to show. They have like, we don't have any information about this source. But like this small dentist, they have their Google My Business popping up in there. They have their user reviews. They have all these things. They are on like dentistry registries. Like the main dentist is registered at the university. So like all the EE80 stuff kind of like ticks in, and Google just understands it better, I guess. And so they're like, they're legit. Even though I'm 90% sure the best mouthwash article was written by the SEO team and the dentist had nothing to do with it, which is going to be a problem because people are going to start doing that. It's like because Google has more background info on the business, including real customers and people with real Google accounts reviewing that business, saying it's good. Lots of data they can cross, and then these users, they can check their YouTube history and browsing history. They can tell they're real, all of that. Then Google is pushing that forward. It's pretty much their way of enforcing EE80, I guess,
Mm-hmm. What were some other major updates another question. So for a site like Authority Hacker or Ahrefs blog, because I just checked, I think after helpful content update, where was it? Core update, reviews update. Yeah, it was August 2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helpful content update.
2023.
Sorry?
2023?
Yeah. There was
like,
another
September,
one?
maybe. September, yeah. Like the first one did nothing. The 2022 one did pretty much nothing. And then there was another one this summer.
September 2023, helpful content update. Yeah, I don't see our traffic changing.
Yeah.
We basically continued on the same.
Because that's exactly because you fall into that category of the people who do the thing and have a real business behind, basically. And so you've dodged that bullet, basically. But Google has hit a lot of sites that are like less of a real sound business, basically.
You see, essentially, that's that going back to my question, why I never bother studying those updates, because I'm not faking anything, essentially. As a marketer, we're working on a real business. We're trying to create articles where we have first-hand experience. We're trying to do everything unique. We don't steal any images from anyone. We don't steal any content from anyone. So I don't understand why Google would punish us for anything. This is why I just focus on creating quality stuff.
But it seems look at this travel lemming guy, for example. He also goes to the places and he has real photos and they really do it.
Yeah.
And he still took a beating, right? So it can happen. It's not Google there will be false positives when Google runs these updates, especially the more drastic they are, the more false positives can happen. I think you guys are pretty safe with Ahrefs. It's a really big business. For us at Authority Hacker, I think we could get hit by a false positive potentially,
We did suffer from, let me tell you which one. It was December 2020 core update. So I'm using Site Explorer graph, and I see that December 2020 core update, we have a sharp decline. We lost about, 1/5 of our traffic. But to be honest, back when I was looking at it, I was looking at pages that lost traffic. Those were, things like, I don't remember exactly, but something along the lines of alternative search engines. We were ranking, number 1 for it, and we started ranking number 8 for it or something like that. And when we analyzed which articles took a beating, we were like, well, yeah, that's probably fair because we're not necessarily an authority on those topics. So it's fine. We mostly write about SEO, digital marketing, and those were kind of side topics that maybe things like growth hacking was giving us traffic and then suddenly not.
Trying to be HubSpot a little bit.
Yeah. that kind of thing. Which brings me to the next topic of our conversation, our favorite one, probably topical authority.
Very good.
How do you understand that thing? Because a lot of people are talking about it these days.
Yeah. So, basically, I think that whole talk is based on Google patents, etc. So I think pretty much Corey studied all the patents and used that. The problem with trying to understand how Google works with patents is that if you're the number 1 search engine in the world, you are going to register all the patents you can around search just to protect your market position. And so it doesn't mean you're going to use them. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So I'm not saying that in this case it's not used. I'm just saying the problem with that way of studying Google is that, they're dominant in that market, and their number 1 goal is to stay dominant in that market. And the best way to do that is to prevent the competition from using interesting technology and methods to make a good search engine. And so even if that's not part of how they do it, and they may have a better way, even the alternative ways they will register. So that's the number 1 problem with that. The second problem I have with topical authority is it leads people to bite more than they can chew. And what it does is, because the idea of topical authority is, if I oversimplify it, is write about all the topics related to your business and you rank for everything. There's just the 1 sentence version is that it's people who explain it do go in more details, etc. But if you go and ask the people who listen to these talks after the talk how it works, that's how they tell you it works, basically. And the problem with that is it leads you to creating lots of pages on your website, regardless of the amount of resources you have to maintain these pages and create them. It just makes you want to create more. And because you have that goal of covering everything, you essentially cover everything in a very mediocre way, for many people at least. And that makes a very average, bloated website without resources left to maintain the pages, because you're still creating more, because really covering all the topics is a lot, even for small niches, And I see how you can get short-term benefits from that, because the way I see Google work, right, is it's kind of it works on 2 levels. There's the day-to-day algorithm that just does the basic things, and there's these big core updates, HCU, etc., that run more complex tasks of evaluating your website, and then just kind of like apply a ranking modifier on on the core algorithm, and so like I can see how like on the day-to-day algorithm is pretty dumb basically, and if you publish lots of content, you're gonna rank up, right? The problem is like eventually if your user metrics are not good, and if like people don't like your website, and overall it's not a good website, I think one of these updates is gonna ding your site down, and you're gonna have a negative ranking modifier applied to your website. So my answer to that usually is like Google may well work that way, but I don't think it's a good framework to work in terms of managing your website, because it always leads you to the path of creating as much content as you can. It leads many people to the path of publishing AI content that is not well supervised, because it's very easy to say, hey, we need to cover everything. Hey, AI can write lots of content. Hey, let's use AI to write content. And then I'm amazed sometimes how much effort people try to put into getting very complicated with Google, but how little effort they put into their business model, for example. And I'm like, if you just take that energy and just move it there, it solves a lot of problems, including your traffic problem. Because if you evolve your business model, you don't have to fully rely on Google as well. You can start doing paid ads. You can have a affiliate program. You can do social media. It makes sense like to have content on platform, not just site visits, for example. So you're Ahrefs. You're happy if someone just watches a video about Ahrefs on YouTube. Like, if you're someone who just monetizes with ads, it's fine to get started. And I encourage people who never built a website to start with that. But eventually, you will get more reach to people if your content can live on YouTube, for example. It doesn't live on your website. You're part of the solution, and then they just come to your website to convert. Great. So overall, to come back to topical authority, it is maybe the way Google works. I don't know. I don't work at Google. But I think for most people in this industry, especially people with limited resources, which is 99% of people, it's going to lead you to buy more than you can chew.
You most likely, I'm sure that you have a lesson about on-page SEO within your course.
We have a blueprint actually, like with multiple lessons. Yeah.
Can you give me a 2-3 minute overview of what is on-page SEO? What do people need to care about when they're optimizing their page?
Okay.
How to optimize a page?
Okay, let me open it actually. It's going to be easier.
I think it's cooler if you do it from honestly, what you think important.
Sure, but like in my head, it's like I'm good at making the courses, then I forget half of it. Sometimes I use the courses myself, So I'll fine. So one thing that I'll tell you, one thing that is completely overpowered still, and that shouldn't work that well, but works really well, because that's what people want to hear, right? Is the publish date. If you change the publish date, you're going to bump in rankings. It still works. I've talked about this years ago, and it still works. Proof is, SEMrush is doing it on Backlinko all the time, and I've seen it with your tool actually. They just changed, they bump their rankings doing this because it works. In terms of like optimizing a page, I mean, so we're an interesting point right now where I feel like search intent has taken a bit of a hit. So before I'd be like, search intent is the most important. Search intent, what does that mean? That means in the first place, having an article that matches the format of what is the most prominent for the target keyword you want to rank. So if you Google your keyword and you see most list posts, you should probably have a list post. If you Google the keyword and it's a step-by-step tutorial, you probably should have a step-by-step tutorial, like that kind of stuff. So that's still quite important, I think, but Google is playing a bit more with diversity. As you could see with this mouthwash query example, like it's starting to lose a bit of power, which is probably quite scary for these on-page tools as well, because they rely very much on that. The second thing is hitting all the subtopics related to your main topic, right? So it's like, again, let's talk about mouthwash. What is important for mouthwash? Maybe like hygiene, gun health, plaque, tartar, toothbrushing, and how you should do this with before, after, whatever, etc. So that's what people call entities, basically, is the topics that are related in the knowledge graph for Google. So like these on-page tools do help with that. They give you a list of keywords, but I think it's not really about the keywords, but rather about the concept being present on your page for these things. So it's a good idea to look at the top ranking pages as well, and at least make a list of like all the subtopics they're talking about in their article, right? And then make sure, like, it's very simple. Take a note, make a bullet list with all the subtopics they talk about, and as is done in your article, cross it over. Pretty simple.
Interesting. Right? That's exactly the tool we're developing right now. If I understand it correctly, we take the top, I think, 3 or 4 ranking pages, and we extract topics from them, and then we rate that topic coverage for each topic. Like this page covers it like 3 out of 5, this page covers it 5 out of 5, and we compare it to your page, and we show you which of the topics that we have extracted from a page are not covered as well. So is this something what you're saying?
Yeah, and I like it better than keywords, because keywords, it's like you can always kind of like shoehorn it in a sentence, even though you didn't really cover the topic. Like, you know what I mean? Like from a meaning point of view, you haven't covered it, but maybe the keyword is ticked. And that's where I'm like, I'm not a huge fan. It's just like, I understand how it's like, it's easy for writers when you hire freelance writers and you can be a bit mechanical about it, but that's where you lose content quality usually when you don't actually do that. So yeah, I think that's quite important. So like that's an easy way to optimize the page, for example. After that, obviously you have kind of like, I call it like on-page markers. So like having your keyword in your title tag, having your keyword in your H1, and having close variations of your keywords inside your content. Probably a good idea. I like to also kind of like, I'll put the main keyword in the keyword explorer, and I'll look at kind of like the term match or something, and I'll look at like the different variations, and maybe some of these can be fit into H2s, H3s, etc. So I can start being relevant for that. So, kind of like easy markers for the search engine. So now we have, we've covered the right format, we have the right subtopics into the article, and we have some markers in there. Then the next thing I would say is like actually try to add value on top. So it's like, that's the EEAT stuff basically. It's like, try to like, how can you offer something different? Sometimes that's just refactoring the same data, but like in a table, for example. So it's like it's easier to scan or something. Like you don't have to go crazy, but like, let's do one thing a bit different from everyone else so that there's a reason to put that page on top of the other pages covering. Otherwise, you're just a Me Too article, like you're the same.
Yeah,
so like, how do I like one up it? But it's not about putting more words. Like for most people, they're like, let's just put more words and it's going to be great. No, you're just going to say the same stuff with more words. It's boring. I always tell our editorial team that words are the laziest way to transmit information, and that they have to brainstorm other ways to do this. So custom illustrations, tables, like mini tools, like AI prompts, if that makes sense for us. Things like what is something that is tangible, that can transmit information, that will bring diversity and interest into the article, and also transmit information faster, basically. And then after that, it's about, like, you can go, once you've done your article, you've done all these things, I would say make sure that your article is structured in a way that the main answer can be found quite quickly. And basically the rest of your article just develops the answer with the nuance after, so that you kind of like have this time to value that is quite fast for people, and they can find it maybe within the, above the fold section, something like this,
What about those technical things like schema, page load speed, mobile optimization?
They count. I think a lot of sites ignore how their pages look on mobile, and that's probably costing them a lot, because Google is now primarily mobile. Like the main web crawler, I think it's since end of last year. I think John Mueller said October 2023. Finally, it took like 6 years or something. But finally, the way Google evaluates your page, so when has a core update was an HCU. Like Google's looking at the mobile version of your page, not the desktop version, and making sure that the page is not broken there. And trust me, a lot of sites are pretty shit on mobile. It's part of that experiencing, and it's gonna contribute to people staying longer on your site and generating better metrics, potentially better conversions for your business. Don't just think about Google. And so that's quite important. Schema can be important. We use it like, I think like the article schema is not very interesting, for example. So if you're just writing a blog post, it's like, but like there are interesting schemas. So now the interesting schemas are like the forum ones. So if you have a forum, now you can actually mark that. And there's a widget in Google, like forum discussion, you're eligible to show there. There is podcasts, there is courses, there is all of that. But it's also a little bit interesting for EEAT. The reason why is because you can give more information about who's behind the content to the search engine without necessarily having to put the whole CV of your writer on your blog, which is like, it's good to give information, but people don't need to. For example, do people want to know where I studied? Like, it's not very interesting, right? But like, what it does is it kind of like connects me to the knowledge graph to where I studied, for example, right? So it's like, oh, okay, he studied there. I can verify this on the LinkedIn profile, etc. And it's kind of like easier to connect the dots. So like schema there, yeah, I think it can be interesting, and I think especially with like large language models interpreting your content, etc., is going to be quite a helpful way to transmit that without making your front end cluttered.
Okay, but within your own content team, do you use any tools or frameworks to kind of optimize your pages? Like, do you have briefs or blueprints for that?
So, I mean, we have like content briefs, obviously, like quite detailed content briefs. Like, we work template based quite a lot. So, for example, we find like a query that's like an interesting template. So, I think what we've done recently was like blog examples, for example. So it's like travel blog examples, cooking blog examples, etc. And we'll build like the perfect page. Like, it's like literally 4 of us like on calls for 2 hours trying to build like the perfect page, etc. Be like, let's make it as good as possible. Let's throw some examples. How do we do this? And we build a process for building these posts, basically. So maybe some people will do some research for examples. Then after that, we need to kind of like break down like each example with bullet points, and then the writers write the template based on that, something like this. And so we do that. We do use still Surfer. But I don't know, like, I definitely this year want to try to cut it off and see what happens. Mostly because I told you I have a bit of a hunch that Google is bringing down search intent in terms of value. And I feel sometimes it's a bit constraining for a writer to like have this big list of keywords on the right and feel like they need to hit everything. So I like the topics better. And since we brief these things pretty extensively anyway, like I'm pretty sure we're going to hit most things. So it's one of the things we're going to test this year. I can't tell you it works, it doesn't work until we've tested it. But it's definitely high up on my list of tests of whether on-page tools are even worth it anymore.
Let's change the topic completely. I know you guys are going to Dynamite Circle conference in London, right? Mm-hmm. But I think you don't visit that many conferences every year these days, right? What makes you want to go to DC conference? Like, what are your expectations? Is this more of to hang out, or do you actually want to extract some business value out of it?
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I am of the opinion that many SEO problems are solved by evolving your business model rather than finding another trick. And DC is kind of like business focused, but also like modern. Like, they're all online, they all run these things, etc. And because they don't really do much SEO, it's refreshing. It's different perspective a little bit to see that. And look, it's like, I'm a content creator in the SEO space. If I'm just going and watch the SEO videos and repeat what I see there, it's kind of shit, you know? It's like, it's much better to see what else people do, their different perspectives, and then that's what I'm good at. I'm like remixing what people do, you know? It's like I kind of like see what people are doing. I see it's working. Then I'm like, oh, but if we added this thing that we do really well, then that would work even better. And then that creates something like cool and interesting. So I don't want to hang out with too many SEOs. Like, I'm telling you, like, even in Chiang Mai, like, it's okay, but like listening to the talks, I don't learn a lot, you know, because I've done it so much and because we do it all the time. I need to learn the other things that synergize with what we know to create something more interesting and new. And so, like, I find it more interesting to hang out with complementary people than similar people.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Well, thanks a lot for the interview. Lots of interesting ideas there. Always nice talking to you. And see you soon again, I guess.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Ahrefs Podcast.